Right, this is the challenges for the planet section. The first part of it was the question was, how has the world's climate changed since the last ice age, which was, give or take a year or two, approximately 10,000 years ago. The line graph that we've got in front of us here charts the change in temperature over that 10,000 year period, and it's a typical examiner's trick to ask you what the trend is of a line graph. Now basically the trend is going to be the difference between the start point and, in this case, the end point there. So the trend of this graph is that temperature has increased. Now the examiner may well ask you to include data as part of your answer. So over that period of 10,000 years, then the change has been positive by 5 degrees Celsius. 5 degrees. Over 10,000 years. Okay. Now, if it is a question that's got a higher tariff, if it's 2 marks, maybe 3 marks, we must make sure that we've got in here that the trend has increased. But we could also say about this graph that there are fluctuations. It both increases and decreases. What the examiner isn't looking for here is what they refer to in the mark scheme as a Cook's tour. So saying that in the first 1,000 years it increased by 5 degrees, and then over the next 10,000 years there was a decrease of 1 degree, and so on. Okay, but certainly referring to fluctuations, an interesting point here as well is that the highest actual increase was actually 6 degrees above the figure for 8,000 BC, when which is kind of like the index figure, the start point figure. Okay, so we've got fluctuations with warm periods and cooler periods. The examiner might also ask, with reference to this graph, why the line changes from a solid line to, in this case here, a dotty line after the year 2000. And that can be quite simply, I mean, it actually states there on the graph why that is. But the projection of the future is shown as a dashed line. So overall then, to summarise, the trend of this graph is that there's been a temperature increase. If you're asked to use data in your answer, then the data is up here on the side. It's not the dates across the bottom. So the increase has been of 5 degrees over 10,000 years, although the highest increase was by 6 degrees. There have been fluctuations with warmer periods and cooler periods, and the projection here is shown as a dotty line after the current date and looking into the future, simply because it is a projection for the future.